Hey guys, so we're here at Ray Allen. I noticed that this was on our route and I bugged Chris. I had to stop and see Ray Allen. I absolutely love their gear and I called ahead and they said they'd give us a tour. So let's go check out the tour. Hi Matt, Mercedes, nice to meet you.
Yeah, we've been in this building since early 90s.
Okay.
Out of roughly about 6,000 products, we make about 5,000 of them in-house.
Wow.
A lot of people think like most big big like kind of places that we just like bring in stuff and we don't, we actually make it here. What I'll do is I'll kind of take you through, this is just our showroom. We kind of say this is like a drop in the ocean. This is kind of like, you can find, if like this isn't the type of harness that you want, don't worry, we got more back there. We can go grab stuff, you can try it on. Whatever we have in stock, we will, kind of outfit and like see what we got. We can make custom stuff. We do it all here. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
That was one thing I think I saw on either your website or on like Google Maps or something. I didn't realize you actually made them in-house.
Yeah, most people don't.
Cool.
Yeah. We're like when it comes to manufacturing, like we're still trying to keep that like American manufacturing alive.
Heck yeah.
We've really fought, over the last couple of years. Peak, which is over there, like Peak by Ray Allen, like is our kind of like adventure dog style, which is the less cost. It doesn't have like the Cobra buckles on it. It doesn't have like that kind of thing, but it's still like built by us. And like the fight to like make that and not like near shore or offshore that was like a really big conversation at the beginning. And how do we do it in house? How do we do this and like make these products without like sacrificing like, sending it overseas and like that kind of stuff. So
what would be the biggest difference between like the adventure gear versus your working dog gear?
Dog jumps out of a helicopter, working dog gear. Dog doesn't jump out of a helicopter, non-working dog gear.
Okay.
No, I mean, if you need it to hold up, if you're doing everything from like bite work to sports stuff, police dog, military, we provide all the gear for that. We tend to say that we provide everything but the dog and the food. So if you need a kennel, if you need food bowls, if you need toys, harness, collar, leashes, bite suits, bite arms, like long lines, everything like that.
Everything under the sun.
Yep, everything but the dog and the food. Yeah. We have a couple companies. So one of them is Peak by Ray Allen, which is our adventure one. We have another one called J&J Dog Supplies, which is all the agility you see at like, if you ever see like ESPN and the dogs like going through loops and the tunnels and stuff like that, we make all that. And then we also have one called Atlas Outfitters, which is a dock diving company. So we make all the dock diving, like the weighted floatable bumpers. We make all that too.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so we're trying to like, have all the have all like the different like hands in the pot and stuff like that.
Okay.
And most of us like have either been in the dog industry or worked dogs. I was a dog trainer for almost 20 years. I just happened to live up the street when I was training dogs and buying equipment from Ray Allen.
Cool.
And then I started coming in here and was offered a job. And then now I'm the creative director. So
heck yeah. I love that. So what's some gear or some items that you feel like it's very important for people who travel, like our dogs are in the van with us all day?
Good kennel. I'm a big kennel component. I like having a good kennel, a good solid one, whether you're using like a metal kennel or, like Roughwear or was it not Roughwear, was it? Roughland. Gunner Kennels is also another really good one.
I know Gunners are good.
The Colorado, we're a lot of Subaru people here, so the crash tested ones from Europe that fit the Subarus are really nice. We sell those too. So a good kennel, good bowls. When I started like training dogs, I kind of like I wanted everybody to know I was training dogs, so I like wore like the vest and like the battle belt and like had all this shit dripping off me, and everybody's like, "Oh my god, you're a dog trainer," when I got done with dog training, I literally wore a hoodie, you
Mm-hmm.
know, like I had nothing on me, you know, and so like the dogs kind of like have progressed that way too. Like
Mm-hmm.
they used to like wear like the coolest tactical harness that you could ever imagine. And
Right.
now my dog wears a collar, you know? So like, it just
Mm-hmm.
kind of depends on like what you are doing, you know, if you're going to
Right.
be in public with a dog, a good ID, good things like that for like service dog, good service
Nosy.
dog stuff. Like, you know, we make all that ID panels and, you know, like for like service dogs that you're out with all the time. You know, a lot of our gear has the molly or has the pouches on it
Mm-hmm.
or the Velcro on it, so you can put patches and,
Right.
you know, the big thing is like you got to try, and like what I always kind of say is like when it comes to just like in general with anything that you do,
Mm-hmm.
like research the stuff that you're getting, that you're like getting it from like a good reputable person, whether it's like
Right.
backpacks or like shoes or whatever it is. And like there is a saying of like buy once, cry once. Like
Mm-hmm.
you get stuff
Right.
that's made well. You know, we have a great like, you know, because we make it all here, like you're like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
my dog chewed on this. Cool, we'll replace it. You know, we'll fix it.
Okay.
We'll do
Heck
whatever
yeah.
we can to make sure that like, you know, it's like better for you.
Yeah.
Where like if you buy something off Amazon, you're kind of fucked. So, you know, we
Yeah.
want to make sure that like we take care of like our customers and take care of our people because like they're what made us who we are. There's a reason
Mm-hmm.
why we've been in business for 78 years.
Right.
So,
So branching off of that gear, what's something you feel like people kind of buy ahead of time, or what's something that you think is a hey, now's a good item, this is a good item for like later?
most of that conversation is bite work wise. You know, it's like
Okay.
people will like kind of jump a dog way too quick in bite work.
Mm-hmm.
Where like with a lot of our equipment, like we make it in stages for a reason. You know, so
Okay.
you can buy something that's like soft enough for a puppy that still
Right.
builds, and then once
Right.
they get their adult teeth and they start coming in, then you do something a little harder, a little bigger, a little, you
Mm-hmm.
know, bite development stuff like that. Um, I usually say, and this is like really bad for like someone that's selling dog equipment, but like wait until your dog's actually grown, at least 10 months in height.
It's so hard to do that
A hundred
too.
percent. You're just really excited to like get shit and like make it make your
Yes.
dog look cool and like, you know, and obviously there's relevance, right? If like you are hiking with a dog,
Mm-hmm.
excuse me, you're doing outdoor stuff with a dog, like you need stuff that like if your dog gets injured, you need to be able to carry it, you know, in a good harness that can do that. Like,
Right.
you know, but if your dog is that young, you really shouldn't be putting it that much pressure on the dog as it is, you know,
Right.
because you have another 12-ish years after that for the dog to really like do those adventures. That
Mm-hmm.
first year isn't really like to where you can like really hurt them, you know, and injure them
Right.
over time, hips, elbows, stuff like that.
Oh
So
yeah.
I always say like wait until your dog's fully grown
I
and
did the
then,
same thing with him. I was
mhm.
paranoid about the joints,
Yeah,
no high heavy stuff, no
yeah,
high jumps, no nothing like that.
yeah, yeah,
And now
because
he
I mean,
just
like you can't
goes
really,
through things.
yeah, you can't control it forever.
No. No.
But like, you know, you try to like limit that, like,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, and genetics are going to play in that. You never know what the genetics are, like, you know, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, unless you know the parents, but even that's a crapshoot sometimes.
Oh yeah.
So you know, you just really have to like kind of go with the best. But what I see here, especially in like Colorado, is like people will get these puppies and then they're like, I'm going to go on this 10-mile hike into the mountains, and the dog is like fucked, you know.
Yeah.
And so like you just like you have to build the dog up just like you had to build up for that, and
Right.
like, you know, having the equipment to like carry them and stuff like that's important. But
Mm-hmm.
like if you're going to get like the vest and you're going to put hundreds of dollars into something that is going to be for that hiking, that outdoors, that, you know, the patrol, that kind of thing,
Yeah.
then wait until they're a little bit bigger,
Mm-hmm.
and don't jump the gun so quickly to like make sure you have all the cool stuff, because your dog's gonna outgrow it, and then you're like,
Right.
what do I do with this now? You know,
Mm-hmm.
unless you get another dog, and then you know,
Yeah. No, I always had to hold back with him. Quit being nosy.
oh, he's fine.
Because cool new dog.
Yeah,
And I was like,
right,
I want to get all the new stuff to deck out my
100%.
new dog.
Yeah,
And then he kept getting bigger and bigger
yeah,
and bigger. And I was like, holy crap.
yeah. Now
You're
I'm just
like,
giving this equipment to people.
yeah,
Yeah,
now I've got an 85-pound dog and he wasn't supposed to get 85
right,
pounds. And then people look at him and they go, is that a shepherd? I'm like,
right.
I know he's big for a Malinois,
Yeah,
but no.
I'm technically a shepherd,
But,
French version.
right, you know, it's a type of
Yeah,
shepherd version. We're close
yeah.
enough.
So,
All right. So like what in here would you like will point out as far as your favorite adventure gear and your favorite working dog gear? And feel free to just go up and point at it,
yeah.
take it
I
off,
mean,
whatever.
I think like one of the most important critical items for a dog is a muzzle.
Mm-hmm.
I think every person should carry a muzzle no matter what,
Mm-hmm.
even if you got like the nicest golden retriever in the world. I've seen golden retrievers you know, go up the leash at their owner because they like ripped a
Mm-hmm.
paw and they went to grab it and that thing,
Ah,
you know. So we always say like dogs, or in training, like it's like dogs in pain are unreliable.
right.
So a good muzzle, whether it's something like a mesh muzzle for, you know, just the vet, you know, or it's
Good
something
boy.
like one of our agitation muzzles, you
Mm-hmm.
know, like that you kind of carry and get your dog used to a muzzle. The dog should be just used to a muzzle all the time.
Mm-hmm.
We used to, you know, you were talking about your pit, and you know, it's like reactive and stuff like that. Like we used to like get dogs so comfortable with being in a muzzle that they would just be in a muzzle like when we were out.
Mm-hmm.
And you would just see people, instead of it being like, oh yeah, it goes, like they see the muzzle and they're like, oh, and you're like, yep, good.
Mm-hmm.
And then you don't, and then like you don't have to like worry about like society fucking up your dog
Yep.
because they're just going to give you the wide berth anyway.
I've
You
seen
know,
people, I've heard people do the same thing for nervous dogs. It's not
100%.
necessarily that
Yeah.
they'll react or do anything, but it keeps people away because they see the muzzle and they steer
100%. They
away,
just
and then
assume,
they
which
can build
is
their
fine. I
confidence.
don't care what people
Exactly.
think about me. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what, I mean, obviously. No, you know, like I don't care what people think about my dog and stuff like that. Like
Yeah,
it's my dog. I have to live with it. You know, it's like
exactly.
whether it's from the, you know, like the working dog side, or like, you know, like my Mal will just eat people. Like he is
Mm-hmm.
the old school, like, you know, like you wanted him to come up with the leash, like you wanted that
Right.
like fight, you know, where
Mm-hmm.
like nowadays like genetics, you're like you can do this with a Mal, you know, like when I
Yeah.
started training, like they would see a dog like this and they'd be like, that's not real, it's not a
Right.
real dog, you know, like
Right.
you want the dog to be like, yeah, man, you know, and like,
Right.
you know, so um the big thing for us is like, you know, like kind of being able to provide all that equipment and then making sure that you kind of have all of it and have all that option.
Mm-hmm.
And so like a good muzzle, a good harness. The Icon harness was kind of like when I got here, like I coming from like the working dog world and like working and being a decoy and stuff, like I kept seeing like all of the like wraparound, you know, like special
Mm-hmm.
forces harnesses from like Tier and stuff like that. And I really wanted one of those. But the problem is they were like $800-900 and I made no money. And so like when I came here and I started like making stuff, me and another guy, we were like just drawing on a piece of paper, and that's where the Icon came from. It was
Okay.
like, how do we make a body wrap harness that's light enough, can do all the things. I gave a bunch of them to 10th group and was like, I need you guys to fuck these things up and destroy them, and just see if they hold together. Like, I need you guys just to do everything you do,
Mm-hmm.
because I wanted to provide something that was, you know, $250, $300,
Mm-hmm.
that could do the stuff.
Right.
And so like cops and stuff could get that harness, because before before then it was just kind of harnesses like this,
Right.
which these are great tracking harness,
Mm-hmm.
you know, but like that's its only use,
Right.
you know. And so like, you know, or something like this where it's like that's the only use for it.
Mm-hmm.
Where I wanted you to be able to like pick up your dog, or if you had to rappel with a dog,
Right.
or if you had, you know, so we made like full mesh, you know, everything with the Velcro on it and the handles in different spots. So that Icon, and then it moved to the Nomad. And the Nomad is a patented interchangeable harness system. So what it
Mm-hmm.
is like, it's this harness, but it is literally just the skeleton of it. So
Okay.
it doesn't have any of the body on there,
Mm-hmm.
and then you can fit it with whatever body you want.
Hmm.
And so, like, if you have a patrol dog and you need the Velcro on the sides, or if you want to
Mm-hmm.
keep it slick just for hiking, or you want to put backpack panels on it, we make that. Or
Right.
one of our guys upstairs, he does hunting dogs,
Mm-hmm.
and one of his hunting dogs was jumping over a log, and a stick went up into the
Oh.
dog and like
Ooh.
stabbed it. So we make like
Ouch.
a bulletproof, stab-proof bottom for the bottom of it for like
Okay.
search and rescue dogs and hunting dogs and stuff like
Huh.
that. So you can kind of interchange whatever you want on the body. So if
Mm-hmm.
you want like just kind of like the everything harness, it's that. And
Mm-hmm.
then if you want like, I want to build it for me Lego style, like then you get like the Nomad.
Okay.
So it's kind of like those are the two for like working dog, patrol dog, stuff like that. And then if you want to get real Gucci, then you have the insertion harness that you can rappel out
Right.
of helicopters and do cool things. So that's, you
Right.
know, so you can kind of go that direction.
Yeah, I'd be
Um,
lying if I said I hadn't been stalking your guys' website
yeah,
for
for sure.
years.
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of the stuff on this side. You know, collar wise, you know, you have everything from like a nylon Cobra buckle collar.
Mm-hmm.
We came out with what was called the elusive collar. We were one of the first companies to do that, where you could put an e collar and a nylon collar together. So you oh, it's actually this right here. So your e-collar actually slides on the inside of this.
I've been
And
eyeballing those ones.
yeah, so the whole reason for that was we had one a cop and two we had military people that were going overseas and they can't have an e-collar, and so they were like, we have to hide it.
Okay.
And so like they, and they're like, well, my dog needs an e-collar, So
Yeah.
and we can argue the basis of e-collars and if that's ethical or not. I don't really
Right.
care. We provide equipment. You don't have to buy it.
Yep.
So we came out with those, and we came out with like slick versions of that. So you can kind of do whatever you want. And then if you want to get like monster style with like a leather 3-inch collar for agitation, and it's got a cover buckle on it and everything like that. Like you can kind of go that direction. So you kind of go with how you want to kit out your dog and what you're doing with it. It is all area specific. If you live in Florida, like you don't need to kit your dog up on like the biggest heaviest shit.
Right.
If you live in Montana, you might want to add some more. So it just kind of depends on what you're looking for and what you're doing with your dog, and that all dictates, and that's why we have like so many different levels of stuff.
Right.
So
and I think that comes into place like as super valuable, because I always had to take in consideration with him being a black dog. He always overheats
100%.
so easy.
Yep. And that's that also comes with like conditioning. Like if
that's true.
If you're like in a air conditioned van, like you guys are driving down the road and you're and it's like and you keep it at 65 and it's nice and comfortable, like the instant second you go into anything hotter, like it's going to zap the dog.
Oh yeah.
Like a lot of police dogs, like one of the big things that's like that like they have to know and understand is like if you are in your squad car and you're and that thing's just running AC constantly and that dog's cold, the second you go into the hot, that dog's fucked. Doesn't matter what equipment it has.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, it's
especially
all
with the cop himself having to wear all the gear. He's going to want to be cool.
Yep.
You can't do that because then you're going to mess up yourself and your dog.
Yeah. So you have to kind of figure out what is your environment like. Like one of the cops we were talking to that's up in Arapahoe, he's like, we keep the dog at 85 degrees year round. So summer, winter, everything like that, dog's always at 85 degrees. So if it gets hot, dog's fine. If it gets cool, now the dog's happy. But even if it's hot, dog does not care. Dog is just like so totally used to it. So
that sounds like you.
Yeah. So
keep you toasty.
Yeah, so you want to like because you have to acclimate them.
Oh yeah,
and like
I mean, it makes sense. You acclimate yourself. You got to acclimate your animals.
100%.
I mean, that was another thing I always had. Like I had outside dogs as a kid.
Right.
They were fine out
Never
in 100-degree weather. Never had a problem.
Right.
Now I've got an inside dog. My mom's dog overheats so fast.
100%. You used to have cattle dogs.
Thinking of it like that makes so much sense.
Right, long-haired border collies that would run all day behind cattle, and I'm like, and now I'm like, I got an Aussie that like literally is outside for 10 minutes, and he's like, and I'm like, oh, that's right, because the house is cold. Ah, shit.
Right.
You just don't like think about it.
You're spoiling too much now.
100%. So ruins their workability, unfortunately. But yeah, so it's a couple options on that side. If you go kind of over here, like adventure style, one big thing is like we came out with like a running belt for the dog. So we have like a cell phone pouch where your cell phone gets in there and you can still like get to the buttons. And then you also have like, you can put like your keys, wallet, stuff like that in here. And then Molly on here for poop bag holder or stuff like that. But what we did was we wanted to make sure, I wanted to step into it like a climbing harness. And then like this also, like this has a swivel on it. So if you put two dogs on it, they don't curl each other up.
Right.
And then also like if your dog is walking, like it just moves and it doesn't move the actual belt, because like I always put a D-ring on my belt to clip a dog to, and then the dog would go over here and the whole belt moves. So we wanted to make something that kind of floats. So we have like a trail version that's not up here. The trail version is like what I wanted on search and rescue. It has like loops on it so you can put gear on it, put Nalgene pouches, put a pouch on the back and stuff for hiking. So that was kind of like what we wanted to do. So yeah. So
cool.
Yeah, so that would be kind of like accessory wise, and then obviously like if you like these harnesses, if you feel them, there's nothing to them.
Oh, those are nice.
Yeah. So
those
lightweight.
Lightweight.
You still get the cool tactability that people love, and then with this we were able to make it like very small, you know.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to have a
That's
tactical
cute.
Chihuahua, you definitely could.
Heck yeah.
But yeah, we made that. That's where kind of once this fabric came out, that was where we were able to go like, oh, now we can make that to where it's not so expensive,
Right.
and get it to you. So,
Right.
and then one last thing, if we have it up here, I'll show you. Do we have the actual one? We don't have the actual one, but if you're looking at a leash, this is the leash. So the whole reason for this is the Ray Allen one. This is the J&J version. The Ray Allen one has a frog clip on it,
Okay.
you know, for really tactical stuff.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. But the whole reason for this was like my ultimate leash that I wanted to have.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole reason was like you could kind of put the dog on, and if you wanted to go around the waist, you could, or if you wanted to go over, you could, because this is all lattice all the way down, so you can kind of pick the size you want. So if you want to go hands-free, that kind of thing. But the important part for me was my dog ripped his paw really bad on a hike one time. And if you've ever carried a dog for longer than 5 minutes, that is not happy about you carrying them. It's not fun, right? So, you know, like you said, your dog's 85 pounds. If your dog breaks a leg, you got to carry him, you know, and like most people, like, they're like, oh, I'll just carry him. This is 5 minutes and your arms are gone, you know? So we wanted to make something that you could also turn into a backpack panel. And so as long as you have 2 loops on the harness, you can like literally lift your dog up and then just like throw them on your back. And then you can actually carry your dog. And it's not going to be like, yeah, this is easy. Like, it's going to suck, you know, but it doesn't matter at that point, you know, because now you got longevity and now it's your legs that are carrying it, more than just that. So yeah, these leashes are something that we made as like a service dog, hiking, everything leash. All right, so this is Ray Allen. There's some cool photos that you might see there that you remember. We'll start over here first. This is what we call the cutting area for nylon. Everything that we do, every pattern is CAD drawn. Me and him draw them on the computer, and then they are laser cut out of the computer. And so whether it's mesh or whatever fabric, he's like, oh my God, what is that? That's all laser cut on there so that there's no human error. Everything is like perfect now.
I bet that's nice.
Yeah, and how we used to cut is like we had these big plastic things that we drew out and everything like that. And now it's all done on the computer, which is really nice. So if you kind of turn this way, these are what we call rolled goods. If you kind of see the rolled goods, it says, you know, like crafted in the US. We are a Berry compliant company. Most people don't know what Berry compliance is, but it is that if something is made in the US, it's got to be milled here, put together here, sewn here, and then shipped from here. So that's like military contracts, stuff like that. Most of them need to be Berry compliant. So you have to have fabric that was made in the United States, workers that build the equipment in the United States. And then there's something called TAA, which is the Trade Agreement Act. And the Trade Agreement Act is if there is like another country that is the only place that stuff is made. For instance, French linen is, made in France. And it's our bite suit material. Then that can be used. Or jute for bite sleeves, that's made in Germany. So that is a TAA. That's okay to use, you know, on government contracts and stuff like that. So, so we got our rolled goods. You got your Velcros that, you know, we put on everything. And yes, it's actual Velcro. It's not hook and loop. And then you have your rolled goods back here. We do what's called completion manufacturing. So there's 2 types of manufacturing. There is piecework manufacturing, and then there is completion manufacturing. There's other ones, but in nylon and like textile, that's kind of the only 2. Piece manufacturing is what you see like slave people overseas, you know, like they are literally doing one thing next, and that's all they do all day. One stitch, boom, one stitch, boom, one stitch, boom. We don't want that. We want our people to be happy about working here and retain it and like all that kind of stuff. So what we do is what's called completion manufacturing. So he gets a work order for something that we're going to make. He cuts the entire thing. The entire thing goes into one of the boxes, and they get to choose which thing that they want to make. So if they want to make a collar or fanny packs or harnesses or whatever, if they made harnesses yesterday, they can make collars today, or leashes or whatever they want. So they have a bunch of different things that they can make in order to kind of not be stagnant in making the same thing over and over again.
Right.
So,
but that's really nice.
It is. We have a really high retention rate here.
Good.
Like I've been here for 12 years. Gentleman over there has been here for almost 30. We have a bunch of people that sew that have been here for 20 plus. We have a guy in our leather that you'll see that's been here for almost 40 years. So,
well, there goes my hopes for asking if you guys were hiring.
We are actually.
Really?
Yeah, we always are because we're always growing. So that's nylon. Then we move on to things like leather. We have our own dyed leather. We only use North American or high like Canadian cattle, mostly North America. Do you know why we only use North American cattle?
Do not.
Think about it. Why would we not use like Mexican cattle, which is where everybody gets?
Maybe because it's colder, so the leather's tougher.
There you go.
All right.
So you get the hide. There's things, and this is kind of for everybody if you're watching. If you're ever buying anything that has leather, you can grab it. Oh, geez. You can grab it and go like this to it. And if you see like it almost looks like veins going through, that's cheaper or lighter wet leather. And so the grain, like you can grab any one of ours and kind of go, and there's no like grain pattern on there.
Right.
Like I'm a kid of the 90s, and like it seemed like leather inside of our car was like the most important thing. My mom was like, never get it wet. And the reason is because the grain is so loose that when you get water in there, it starts rotting it away.
Right.
And so with thicker grain, everything like that, no water gets in, it lasts a lot longer. People have been like, we get people that send us pictures of them using a leash they bought in 1987, which is like fucking crazy to me because I'm like, buy something else, please. No, no, we're actually really happy that like, like our stuff can have that kind of longevity.
No, it's cool. You get people coming back and they're like, hey, this is still 100%. Fantastic.
Right.
That's awesome.
Right. And so that it's something that we take a lot of pride in is like looking into stuff like that and making sure that stuff like that is like verifiable for the end customer. Right. So we look into all that stuff way before we even make a product. So,
wow.
Yep. So if you come this way, you'll see these kind of big rolls. These big rolls are the padding that goes into bite suits. Well, some of the padding, there's more different padding that goes in there. But the padding that goes into bite suits, the smaller pieces that are not big enough to go into suits, we put through an industrial shredder, and this is what we fill our tugs with. Okay. So instead of doing polyfill and buying like garbage pretty much to like fill it up, we just reuse the stuff that we already are making. So we have zero waste. So as much as people are like, oh, you're a part of like, the military and like cops and stuff like that, we still like care about the planet and like try not to throw just a bunch of shit away. So we try to reuse as much as we can to put back into products.
Right.
So
I'm sure it makes it easier on other costs too, because I know there's like costs of disposing certain items.
Yeah, no, 100%. And we don't have any toxic items or anything like that, but we would rather figure out a use for it and get as much as we can out of. I mean, you're already buying the roll, right?
Exactly.
And so like we might as well not just throw away a ton of it for no reason. So then we come this way, you can see there's more leather.
All the
and
leather.
then this is the nylon department. We have 2 shifts. We have a 6:30 to 3 p.m. shift, and then we have a 3 to 11:30 shift. They get to kind of choose what shift works best for them. They come in, put headphones in, do their job, go home. We make it real simple. We don't micromanage people. Like we just want people to like enjoy what they're doing. And we say it as a joke, but this is like arts and crafts every day. Like this is what we do. We just build stuff and ship it and get it in and out. So, again, a bunch of people here that have been working here for more than 10, 15, 20 years. And we have a night shift that started during COVID. because I saw the mask mandate coming. So I designed a mask out of Cordura and kind of put it online and was like, should we make these? And people were like, yes. So we were like, all right, we're going to put them up for 24 hours. And we thought we were going to sell like 100 of them. And we ended up selling 6,000 of them. Shut down our website, I think 8 times. And so we turned into a mask making company very quickly, and a lot of overtime, and it was hard on everybody because we were trying to get everything out, and that's when we decided to split the shifts so that we wouldn't burn everybody out. They could pick when they wanted to come in, and they could just do the job that they wanted to do.
We love a company who cares about their employees.
100%. I'm one of them, so I want to care about them. So
all right.
All right. So then we come over here. This is what we call the sleeve department. So if you see like the big hard bite sleeves, and this is where the muzzles are made.
Okay.
We have a 10-ton clicker over here, stand-up sewing machines that can kind of go through anything, including fingers. So they're all very well trained, and 15-ton clickers over here. You can't rivet those kind of muzzles and like how they're shaped. You can't just like hand rivet them. I mean, you can, but it's not going to come out very well. So that's why we make that muzzle, and that's why that muzzle is actually one of the like most used muzzles across all working dogs around the entire world.
Right.
So we put a lot of engineering into it, and it's a loved thing. So yeah.
Absolutely.
So you can keep coming over here. All right. Oh yeah, there's the muzzle. So this is our leather department. Like I said, Kevin's been here for 127 years. He's been here for 38 years. But if anything leather has been bought from Ray Allen in that time, he was the one that made it. An absolute craftsman when it comes to this stuff. So as you come over here, you can see this is a lot of kind of either some of the completed stuff or stuff that has been tried, you know, from double-sided leather to the deluxe braid, which takes a lot of time. Like this is a single braid. This is a deluxe braid. You know, 2-inch collars, 3-inch collars that you saw up front, those ones.
Yeah.
You know, whether you want a braided handle on a leash or you want a stitched handle on a leash or that kind of thing. So there's a lot of stuff that kind of goes into, you know, the thought of, you know, out of, again, those like 6,000 products and the 5,000 that we make in house, you know, that's why there's so many. Because it's like, this can be braided. This one is braided and stitched. This, you know, it's like, so there's a lot of kind of different options because if you've been around dogs long enough, you know, people, they all have their own thing that they like. So they kind of go with that.
This is true.
And then this is kind of like the Vietnam stuff. So we still make these harnesses. The government still buys them for some reason. There's new stuff, guys, I promise. But you know, we have pictures I can give to you guys at the end, but we have like pictures of like dogs on the Vietnam ships that are like wearing these muzzles and wearing these harnesses and stuff like that. We've been around for, again, 78 years. So pretty much right after World War II, we started up, and we've been in Colorado Springs ever since. So yeah. And then this is what we call cloth department, or bite suits, bite arms, stuff like that. If you kind of look at, like, this is that material I was talking about.
Oh yeah.
You know, so like that's all padded inside the suit and everything like that. And then those smaller pieces, you can see some of it over there too. Okay. That's for a jacket, or she's cutting some over there. So it's like the different padding that kind of goes on it and everything like that. So. And obviously these machines are a lot bigger, with a lot more, you know, like needle strength and stuff like that. And this is, I mean, this is really, it's called a suit. It's building a suit. I mean, they're building it and tailoring it just like you would any kind of, any other suit. This just, one just happens to be bit by a dog. So, yeah. So there you go. Yeah. So that's like some of that material that's like cut out in the shape that is used. So. different layering systems, stuff like that.
Right.
We make a bunch of different suits. You know, we old school still make like what we call the marshmallow suit, you know, which is like giant big suit, police dog suit. Most police departments don't have money for a decoy to like come out and train with their dogs. So they'll buy a bigger suit so they can put normal cops in it to get bit. But then, you know, they don't want their person getting injured, so they'll buy a bigger suit. We also make comp suits and semi-comp suits and stuff that were, you know, get scarred up pretty well in it, and have the dog feel you. So
I've seen how thin they can get, and I just think it's wild for anybody to willingly put something like that on. Yeah,
we did a movie. I'll talk about it after, not on that, but we did a movie, and it was really funny how that happened. But so once at the end of the day, you kind of anything that's made that gets completed gets put on these carts. We got 4 people that are QC, so they kind of go through everything. So they'll grab each harness, they'll make sure that all the stitching everywhere. If the bar tack, for instance, the bar tack is right here and right here on the harness, they'll check all those to make sure that those are there. All the bar tacks are in the right spot, all the stitching's in the right spot, nothing is kind of hanging off or anything like that. And they check all 4 of them to make sure that they're capable of going out. If our stuff fails, typically someone or a dog gets hurt. So we have a really scrutinous QC process to make sure that doesn't happen.
That's like really cool though. Even just like the peace of mind of knowing somebody comes through and checks those particular pieces.
100%. Yep. So we make sure everything.
Why anybody wouldn't want to buy your guys' gear for that reason.
Yeah. No, for sure. That's thank you. But yeah, so we want to make sure that it's good. And then again, like if anything does happen, you know, something tears or dog chews it, or you know, the stitching or something like that, like we will repair it for free. You know, we want to make sure that, you know, it's taken care of, and you know that like really cool. they have a kind of peace of mind. And what we were talking about earlier with like the leather, right? Like thinking about all that stuff through. It also goes into things like the stitching. So when we are stitching something like a bite suit together, so it's like 210 pounds. Oh wow! So it's a tensile strength is kind of what that number means. So it's 210, right? So do you know how much a dog's tooth will break at?
I actually do not.
It's roughly about 250, depending.
Okay.
So this will break way before a tooth will. And because this is what they're biting, and if they get in here and they kind of loop under there and then they start pulling and stuff like that, we want the thread to go. We can always restitch it.
Right.
We can always put a stitch in there, but we want the stitch to break way before a tooth does. So, so it's like, it's all of that. We think about all of those things way
never really
before.
Thought about that between like the durability, especially for high bite force dogs, but also you can't be hurting them either.
100%. That's why like we stay away from things like Kevlar, because like Kevlar is great, but you're going to be gnawing down the teeth in order to get there. So like we don't use Kevlar, we use leather. So we'll do like leather protection underneath suits. So one, they still get the feel. It's organic enough like to where what they would bite normally, so they can still feel it. But it's not going to like wear down their teeth. Even through suits is where I get holes. It's gonna happen. Like you're having a dog bite you. There's a possibility of this happening. And so we all kind of sign up with that understanding. Now, do we want it to happen every time? No. But the possibility of it happening, cool, it does. And so
that's just me and him playing. I mean, if I play with him enough, I'm eventually gonna get bit.
Hunter, you're gonna get a tooth somewhere.
And even with like toys, I'm the same way. It's an absolute pain in the butt buying toys, but I would sooner the toy break than his teeth.
100%.
All day long.
Yep. So
and he still manages to hurt himself.
Right. All right, we'll come this way, baby girl. Okay. So over there is what we call plastics. That's the J&J dog supplies.
Okay.
So that's where they build like the gates and the jumps and the hoops and all the things for the agility is all built over there. Peak is all obviously built into the normal Ray Allen. And then this is the Atlas Outfitters, which is the weightable bumpers for dock diving. So that's all built over here, and we can print names and stuff on them too.
That's fun.
Yep. So that's all built here. And then once that's all built and gone through and checked, then we come over here, and this is shipping.
I swear, I feel like every door we come through, it just gets bigger and
It gets bigger. It's
Lord.
deceivingly big from like
It
what people see on
is.
the outside. So this is shipping. We probably won't go farther than this, but on camera you can come through. You know, so we kind of have everything. We have a shipping manager that is kind of absolutely killed it at like making like how the aisles are set up. So the first aisle is like best selling items and then back, right? So like like whatever is most picked is going to be over there, and then it kind of like transfers as it goes back that way. Mondays we ship around 400 to 600 packages. And then Tuesday through Friday, roughly about 300 to 400 packages.
Wow.
So that's kind of weekly. If we have if it's a holiday or like a Monday off or a Tuesday off, we get fucked. But they are killers. And again, people that have been in the company for a long time, so they know what they're doing.
Cool.
So yeah, we ship everything out of here, and we try to do it same day. We try to keep everything in stock, you know, so people don't have to wait. Unfortunately, again, with items set, you know, for, you know, 6,000 products, the possibility of that. Also, you know, the products that we don't make in house are things like the kennels, you know, e-collars, pinch collars, bowls, stuff like that. You know, that's all made by someone else, and we have to, you know, like if it's not in stock, like we're trying, you know, like but most of the time, if anybody's bought from us in the past, they will know that like we try to get it out that door same day. We're pretty good about it. So
you guys are very well organized.
Yes.
It's absolutely insane, but we love a very well organized workspace.
Yes.
We appreciate a very well organized workspace.
I'm not organized. I just want to point this out. So, because if anybody knows me on this video, they'll know I'm fucking hot trash. So my shit is everywhere, but it's just my brain. So.
I mean, we're familiar with that sometimes.
Yeah. I'm not. No, it's everywhere. I can't. Yeah, no, for sure. You know what? Kudos to that. But yeah, so yeah, that's Ray Allen.
Well, hell yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming by.
It was lovely meeting you.
Nice meeting you.
I appreciate the tour.
Yeah, absolutely.